180 minutes and 4 days left for each of the 8 teams in this most extraordinary and unique of AIA Singapore Premier League seasons. We're here live at Jurong East to bring you second-placed Albirex Niigata taking on rock-bottom Tanjong Pagar United, looking for their first win of the season and only 2 games away from becoming the only team in Singapore Premier League history to go the whole campaign without winning a game. There is how the table looks. Tampines Rovers, after that incredible come-from-behind win here at the weekend, and now back to the top of the table, a point clear of Albirex, who, if they lose today and Tampines beat the Lion City Sailors in one of the other big games, will now kiss goodbye to the title for good. Tampines can potentially wrap up the title tonight, and also, of course, they could wrap up that precious Asian Champions League place if they get just a point off the Lion City Sailors at Bishan. The AFC Cup race is alive and well with Balestier, Geylang and Hougang battling it out, and you get the feeling that the wooden spoon might just go down to the last day of the season when the Young Lions take on Tanjong Pagar here again. So that's the league table. Let's check in with the form guides of the combatants in action here live on Singtel Star Hub tonight. That one blip on the Albirex recent copybook is that defeat here. They were 1-0 up at half-time, capitulate into the second half, but keep an eye out for number 10, Tomoyuki Doi. 9 goals for the season. He's only 5 behind Stipe Plazibat, which sounds a lot with 2 games to go, but of course there's a question mark over Stipe Plazibat's involvement in the remainder of the season. I can tell you he's not involved, Stipe Plazibat, for the Sailors tonight against Tampines Rovers. Tomoyuki Doi then a real force. As for Tanjong Pagar United, well, the big team news for them is that their star striker Luis Jr. is on the bench. He got terribly injured before COVID here in the reverse fixture. Remember, both Albirex and Tanjong Pagar United call this Jurong East Stadium their home. They have picked up a couple of precious draws recently, most notably a very gritty 2-2 draw against Tampines. But their other Brazilian, Jan Mota, does start. He's a powerhouse at the back, and as Albirex Niigata know only too well, he's capable of scoring stunning free kicks. It was his goal that put a point on the board for Tanjong Pagar against Albirex earlier in the season. So we've given you the form guide, we've shown you the league tables, we've looked at some of the key players to tonight's matchup in this really exciting penultimate day with 4 games going on simultaneously. We'll confirm the team news for you in a minute, but let's get some clues now as we go pitch side. Earlier on, we heard from both Noel Amshar, the team manager of Tanjong Pagar, and Albarex's assistant coach, Yuki Fujimoto.
So, such a disappointing result on Sunday against Tampines. What have you said to the boys to lift them for this game tonight, just 4 days later?
Yes, we are disappointed with the result of the last game. However, I said them, it's no problem because it's impossible to win the game all the time. And we have a chance to get title, so I said no problem.
Yeah, so despite that loss against Tampines, you must still feel with the Stags playing the Sailors tonight, you're still very much in the hunt for the title.
Yeah, of course, because we never gave up because we still have a chance.
So they may not have won a game yet this season, but Tanjong Pagar are undoubtedly a tough side to play. How do you go about avoiding a repeat of the 2-2 draw in March?
Yeah, and Tanjong Pagar is a well-organized defense, and so I think one of the key points is opening score. Yeah, of course, after that we can dominate the game, and I think we can control the pace of the match. So this is a key point.
So is tonight the night for the first win of the season?
I hope so, but today we are resting a lot of players. Shoda is out with a stomach flu, and then Junior and Taka is also out on the bench. Even our captain Faris is also we rest. So a lot of opportunity for the younger players to gain their first match debut for the season. I hope they will do well.
Great. So despite not winning the game so far, no question you've been hard to beat.
Yep.
What's been the secret to motivating the boys to continuously pick up points against the top teams, albeit only draws so far?
I think it's easy to work with these boys because they are well-disciplined boys, and then they're very nice boys. And then when being demanded of hard work, is in them already. They are naturally workers by nature. So with a good game plan, but sometimes we need a win, but unfortunately we always rise to occasion with the top guns, except for all the other teams who is at our level. We have to improve a little bit more on our attacking phase. That's the thing.
So on that point, so there's one game left after tonight, but do you believe you've built a strong foundation to kick on and compete in the top half of the table next season?
Of course. The positive part about this season is that we unearth a few players. Our foreign players are a good form a good blend with the players. There's a little bit of the jigsaw puzzle have to be sorted out a little bit, but it's not so much of a piece. It's only one or two pieces, especially in the attacking place. We already started planning for next season, just to prepare a good finish next season. It will be good. Yep.
Great to hear from Noel Shah, who has done such a good job, along with head coach Hazrin Jalani. And even though they're bottom of the table, bearing in mind the circumstances in which they came to be just shortly before the start of their campaign, I think they far from disgrace themselves. I know that sounds strange, bearing in mind they haven't won a game. That's just my opinion. There's our officials team, led by referees Zulfikar Mustafa, assisted by Lim Kok Heng and Kasi Gopikana, with our fourth official Ahmed Al Kwasa. And the teams now taking to the surface. Remember, Albirex Niigata, the designated home team here, even though both sides share the stadium. But I can't get out of my head that incredible 2-2 draw against Tanjong Pagar here in March, which was the last game both teams played before the COVID suspension. What will be the response from Albirex Niigata after the second half collapse against Tampines here just 4 days ago? We're waiting now for the arrival of Tanjong Pagar, as you heard from Noel Shah in that excellent interview pre-match. They have made a whole host of changes, no fewer than 6 from the side that went down narrowly to Hougang, and you can't help but think they've got one eye on the battle with the Young Lions at the weekend, their final game of the season, which looks set to be a battle to determine the wooden spoon. There are the Jaguars. Shout out to the good guys at the Jaguar 4 Supporters Club. There are pockets of supporters around outside the stadium. These games, of course, being played under strict COVID protocols. So the good news is there is a set of procedures in place to potentially allow 200 supporters into our Tampines hub for the Stags' final home game of the season on Saturday against Geylang on the East Coast Derby. So the pre-match fist bumps are being carried out, and we will shortly be set for action. We'll get to the team news in a minute. The two skippers meeting in the middle to determine who will kick off. Rahan Rahman is the skipper for Tanjong Pagar. Into the starting lineups we go. And the big news for Albirex Niigata, just one change, and it involves a Singaporean, Ong Yuen, who got his first goal of the season 2 match days ago. He is replaced by another Singaporean, Firas Hassan. That incredible story. Firas, 32 years of age, was contemplating retirement when he was plucked out of obscurity to come back into the big league by Albirex Niigata. He is in the starting lineup. The team used for Tanjong Pagar United is much harder to fathom. They've made, as I said, 6 changes. Lewis Jr., their 5-goal top scorer, starts on the bench. In comes Surya Prakesh, Hadiputradilla, Ribianda, Zulkifli, and a debut and a first experience of S-League football for the youngster, 21-year-old Julian Tan, who's currently studying at university. So the starting lineups are there. The other 3 matches going on simultaneously to this. Hougang Balestier at Hougang Stadium. Lion City Sailors, Tampines Rovers. The league leaders in action at Bishan, and the Young Lions in Galang International, 4 miles away from here at Jurong West. I'll tell you the goals as they go in all around the country, but we focus on Albirex Niigata, still pitching for what would be their 4th title in 5 years against the team that are still pitching for their first win of the season. 6 years after they said goodbye to the Singapore Premier League, the Jaguars are back, but they are still winless. It will be Albirex in the orange, playing right to left. Tanjong Pagar United in the black and gold, playing left to right. 180 minutes left of the 2020 AIA Singapore Premier League season. And our referee Zulfikar will very shortly get us underway. Just waiting for the clock to tick round to 7:45 in the evening, local time here in Singapore. Hope you're enjoying it, watching on Singtel, StarHub, the AIA Singapore Premier League social media channels, One Play Sports, and wherever you're watching around the world. A thrilling climax to the season starts now. And a wayward ball from Tanjong Pagar United, sees pressure from Albirex Niigata, who will try and go route one over from the back, and that's an ambitious ball. But the flag was up over on that far side. So an early whistle against Tomoyuki Doi, who is, of course, 5 goals behind Stipe Plazibat at the moment, but potentially with 180 more minutes of football left this season than Stipe Plazibat, and they would fancy a victory here. It will be very interesting to see if Tomoyuki Doi can get amongst the goals. They're underway at Hougang, they're underway at Bishan, still waiting for the whistle to blow at Jurong West, where the Young Lions take on Geylang. Tomoyuki Doi wins that well. That's a slight miscue, more than a slight miscue from Taniguchi, and all of a sudden Tanjong Pagar United could be in business. Battling through the middle was Hadi Putradilla. Comes back out to Iman Hakim. Lots of transfer speculation around Iman Hakim, whether he might be bound for another AIA Singapore Premier League club for next season, as we await the first goal of the night to go in around the grounds. Here's some space to operate in the middle of the park for Taniguchi. Taniguchi looking on this near side for Kamata. Kamata with a couple of goals already this season. That's a good ball through. Tomoyuki Doi, snapshot from nothing, and it whistles past the left-hand post of Fashar. Well, that just goes to show how quickly they can carve open defences. It looked rather innocuous when Kamata got that movement going with Taniguchi, but he managed to find Tomoyuki Doi, who will not need a second invitation to shoot tonight, I can assure you. So it'll be Fashar Iskander back in the starting 11 for Tanjong Pagar tonight. Joey Sim on the bench. Fashar sends that very long. Flicked the wrong way by the Albirex man, and all of a sudden for a minute it looked like it would open up there. Chasing hard, Hadi Putradilla can't get there, and Albirex Niigata should be able to bring this out, but already I think a pattern is emerging where Albirex are clearly going to enjoy the lion's share of possession, brought out by Taniguchi. Switching over to that far side where Hadi Putradilla is trying to close down for Tanjong Pagar United, twisting and turning. Good work from Takeda. And that's another good ball over the top. And it'll be a throw to Albirex. Good hustle down that far side. They leave the throw to Hashioka. Hashioka gets it back. Not much space to work with, but he's going to win a corner. And the first set-piece opportunity of the game comes for the home side in the orange, Albirex Niigata. Still goalless, no early scores through the first 3 minutes of any of the other matches. They are now underway at Jurong West. Trotting over to take this, Kenta Kurishima. Plays it short, Kurishima. Nice pullback. And that's not the most convincing clearance by Hassim, but it does the job. And it's bobbled back in and gobbled up comfortably enough by Fashar Iskander. So already 2 shots on goal, both from Albirex. Remember, if they were to lose this game and Tampines were to beat the Lion City Sailors, the title race would be over. A draw here for Albirex and a win for the Lion City Sailors would mean Tampines would only need a point against Geylang and the East Coast Derby at the weekend. So many permutations across all the positions, both the AFC Cup places, the Champions League places, the title itself and the wooden spoon. Almost makes you dizzy thinking about it. So the best thing to do is try and sit back, relax and enjoy the action, as you've got the best seat in the house here. Now keep an eye on Jan Motta. We featured him before the game. He's very dangerous from set pieces. This is delivered in at a low trajectory and it's flicked up in the air. No black shirt attacking it though. And then a rather innocuous looking free kick is conceded. And now he wants a word with Surya Prakash, I think, for kicking the ball away. Referee Zulfikar going to give him one last word. No more. The international sign language for no more has just been dished out to Surya Prakash. Nice cut inside. Dangerous looking bit of play from Ryosuke. Over on the far side. Yeah, Surya Prakash is certainly a player that gets busy and gets involved. He's miscued there though. And that's a good ball through the middle. Headed up and away. And headed further clear by Amaral. But Albirex starting already to dominate possession. Early goal, first goal of the night at the Hougang Stadium. Balestier Khalsa leading Hougang by a 1-0 there. So the first goal of the night has gone in at Hougang. Takeda over the top. That's going to take some getting to. Surely it's a lost cause. Well, how's he kept that in? The answer is he hasn't. Assistant referee over on that far side says the ball did cross the line. So Fashar taking his sweet time with this goal kick. For all that they've not won a game, if you go through their fixtures and results this season, they've only really been battered once. That 6-1 defeat at Bishan when the Sailors turned on the passing style and really ground them into submission. They won't be helped by Fashar with that wayward goal kick. And so far, Albirex don't look to be too traumatised by what happened to them in the second half here against Tampines at the weekend. Playing their usual flowing game, involving as many players in the park as they can. Ryosuke Nagasawa. Well marshalled. They're trying to stick tight where they can, Tanjong Pagar United. Sprayed out wide by Kurishima. It's found its target as well. And now into the area. Might come all the way through. Thought for a minute he might go down and look for a penalty there, Taniguchi, but he didn't do it. And now all of a sudden at the other end, Tanjong Pagar United are in business. Surya Prakash pulls the trigger. Good run and a good snapshot, but got up comfortably enough by Keokawa, who gets his first touch of the night. Good run that from Surya Prakash. He's been the heartbeat of the midfield for much of the season for Tanjong Pagar United. Tomoyuki Doi with 3 men around him goes down, no free kick and a chance for Amaral to get it away. That's going to be a foul called on Iman Hakim. And you heard, didn't we, Yuki Fujimoto saying how important the first goal would be tonight in his pre-match interview with Byron Crystal. And I think he might have a point here because they have been tough to break down at times. They need the goal just to settle their nerves. Albirex, I'm sure, even though they pretend they won't be, they'll know what the score is over there at Bishan. Of course, the reality is a point, only a point for the Lion City Sailors, and Albirex Niigata winning here would mean it was down to a 2-horse race, and if there was only a point apiece between Tampines and the Lion City Sailors, and Albirex to win here is a mile out. They've tried that one, and the keeper's watching it and taking no chances. I think it was just skewing wide, but it was an ambitious effort, and credit to Tanjong Pagar United. They're not just parking the buses, they're going to be tight defensively. You should understand it, but they have shown a couple of bits of attacking ambition already. Kamata gets it across, now over to the far side where they seem to be favouring through these early stages. Tanjong Pagar with all 11 players behind the ball. That's well met by Jan Motta. They shouldn't really be allowing that to bounce. There's young Julian Tan making his Singapore Premier League debut tonight. Takeda Nagasawa, back to Takeda. Oh, nice feint from Sakuma. Allows the ball to go to Kurishima. Another goal at Hougang. Hougang have already equalised. Hougang United 1, Balestier Khalsa 1 at the Hougang Stadium. Meanwhile, that's going to be a foot race that won't be won by Kamata. So, scoreless 11 minutes here. Goalless in the game at Bishan. Saders nil, Stags nil. Young Lions nil, Gaeling nil. There's already been 2 goals at Hougang. 1 each, Hougang and Balestier. Shuhei Hoshino, of course, who won the Golden Boot in 2018 when driving Albirex Niigata to a league title. He's opened the scoring for Balestier Khalsa, but Hougang back on the mark. We await the breakthrough here, 11.5 in. Kamata. Takeda. Tanjong Pagar United, so well coached. I think huge amount of credit. I know people will think, well, they look at the league table, they've not won a game. How can you give them credit? But they've been, I think, outmatched in terms of man-for-man ability in their squad compared to nearly all the other teams in the AIA Singapore Premier League. And Hasfin Jalani and Noel Amshar have got them well organised, and well-organised teams, no matter how lacking sometimes they are in skill, tend to make up for it a lot of the time in heart. Defending to do now, though, over the top, just couldn't find the touch from Tomoyuki Doi, but just starting to probe a little bit more thoroughly. Fashar goes long, header one by Albirex. Surya Prakash in the middle, and that was unconventional but did the job from Amaral. Hashioka will let that one drift out. Now, a bit of space to operate for Nagasawa. How quickly can he get this one going? He's got runners ahead of him, and he's picked out the run brilliantly of Taniguchi. Taniguchi, no free kick, says referee Zulfikar. I think it was a good call as well. So they're certainly not carving them open with gay abandon early here. Albirex Niigata, the Jaguars are hanging tough. Julian Tan can only flick that behind for a throw to Albirex Niigata. Big moment for young Julian Tan, 21 years of age, first involvement in a AIA Singapore Premier League game. Here's Kurishima on the overlapping run with Sakuma, who's a really powerful presence. Oh, lovely feint and go from Kurishima. But the piece is picked up again, this time Iberianda. No signs that Albirex are getting frustrated early, but certainly this bank of 5 almost that Tanjong Pagar United are employing is frustrating. It takes some getting used to and some breaking down. Taniguchi, Nagasawa into the area, and it'll go behind for the corner. Surya Prakash, I think, might be half looking for a free kick there, but he's not going to get it. So second corner of the contest. They've both gone to the home side here. Albirex Niigata is the penultimate night of AIA Singapore Premier League actions in full flow as you get another look at Nagasawa's run that's led to this corner. Decent delivery. Fashar claims it well, and no orange shirt really attacking that area of the pitch, which was a surprise. That was a good lead from Takeda. Gets it back to Akawa. He's not had a serious save to make yet, save for that long-range effort from Surya Prakash that never really looked like troubling him. Oh, look at that, turn and go. Marvellous work down the right-hand side. He's found support as well with Firoz Hassan. And now look at the advancement being made down this left-hand side by Kamata. They decide to shun the left, though. They go again. Down the right, Iman Hakim. Part of it. That's lofted and going to go over everyone. It might come back all the way to Kamata, you know. Not quite. Tanjong Pagar get it clear. Well, you did fear for Tanjong Pagar United if Albirex got the early goal. Of course, they have made a habit of making multiple changes at half-time, usually replacing the Singaporean players with their players on the bench, the likes of Ryo Nishiguchi. He's got 5 goals this season. He's an option for them on the bench. I'll be surprised if he doesn't appear in the second half, because goal difference still could come into this, you know. And that 4-1 defeat did harm their goal difference on Sunday. Tampines now plus 16, Albirex plus 14. And the Sailors, well, their goal difference is going to be the best of the lot, but they might not have enough points to go with it. They're plus 23. Well battled by Amarul. Short pass and good hustle from Iman Hakim. Throw goes long. It's well watched and well won from Kamata, and they'll get a free kick for the foul on Iman Hakim. So round the ground so far tonight, with just over a quarter of an hour gone everywhere as we get another look at this foul. All goalless apart from 1-1 at Hougang and Balestier. For Sharp, taking his time. A reminder, we'll have a hydration break midway through each half here, along with 5 substitutes being permitted. As the FAS and the AIA Singapore Premier League by the FAS, if you're watching from outside Singapore, I mean the Football Association of Singapore, done such a wonderful job in getting the season completed, and with the added bonus of the experiment to hopefully let 200 fans into our Tampines hub on Saturday, where they could be watching the League Champions crown. We'll wait and see. That pass picked up and loose, and that was a lovely piece of skill to anticipate that from Taniguchi. And look at the space they've got over on this far side now. Albirex Niigata really in business. Blasted across the edge of the 6-yard box, and Jan Motta turns it behind for the 3rd corner of the game to Albirex Niigata. They've done a good job, Tanjong Pagar United, so far of limiting the space that Albirex have had to operate in, but that perfect pass, pinpoint from Taniguchi, set them up over on that far side with Firoz. And it was the right idea from the Singaporean playing for the Japanese side, trying to whip it in along the ground for Tomoyuki Doi. Couldn't quite get there. Well, their first 2 corners have been bitterly disappointing. Can they make a better fist of it with the 3rd? Answer is no. Easy for Firoz. The delivery has to improve. 3 corners wasted, and every time a corner's wasted, Fashar Iskander is making sure he winds some precious seconds off the clock. Far too early to talk about time wasting, but certainly before the game, Tanjong Pagar United would have the approach that the less time this ball's in play here for us, the better. Here's Julian Tan. Crowded out of it, and will win a free kick, the youngster. So here's a chance for them to launch a set piece in, and once more Jan Motta will come up from the back. Julian Tan stood up well there, and think it was a correct decision from referee Zulfikar, because Taniguchi came in there a bit gung-ho through the back of him. So what can they do from this? Suhairi with the outswinger. Suhairi, good delivery. Headed away well. Bill Hisham, who's the one that got that initial clearance back into the danger area, but Albirex, just like that, are right back up the other end of the field again. Near side is Takeda. Kamata starting to look dangerous down the left. Kamata gets the cross in. This could drop for a shot on goal and into the side netting. Closest we've come to a score. It was nice work again from Kamata. And on the turn, it was asking a lot from that angle, but you can see Tomoyuki Doi is just hungry for goals. Justin Hui is the man that equalised for Hougang, incidentally. And just like that, we're almost at the halfway mark in this first stanza. Now down the left they go. Hadi Putradilla. Takeda to bring it away once more. Well, they've not created a glut of openings, but they've had a couple of half chances. I think that Tomoyuki Doi is in the mood to snap with a third one up. He's had two. Both off target, one into the side netting, one whistling just wide. That's behind for a goal kick, and yeah, just not happening for them at the moment. Albirex Niigata. They are a team that can come on strong in the second half. Just ask Hougang about that. Hougang had them goalless here a couple of weeks back before utterly capitulating in the second 45. Fashar with what must be his 6th or 7th goal kick already. He's not been forced into a meaningful save so far. Same, of course, applies to Keokawa. No nonsense clearance from Rahan Rahman. And another free kick goes the way of Tanjong Pagar United. Ryo Sakuma is penalised. And once more, I'm assuming Yamamoto, well, he can outstrike him, Yamamoto. I thought for a minute he was going to take this on himself. He's not going to pull the trigger from here, no. That would have been even too far by his standards, even though he's got a very powerful boot. So Sahari's over it. Yamamoto trots up to get over on the far post. If this is delivered in, Albirex holding the line on the edge of the area. Delivery is very askew. Oh no, that's very much a miscue from Shabalisham. Sakuma. Again, this ball holds up on the turf to enable them to get the cross in, but it's a very poor attempt at a cross after all that good work. But Tanjong Pagar United in danger of giving it away again before they win the free kick for the foul from Kurishima. Fisher out to take this as mission accomplished, and once more kudos to Noah Shah and head coach Hazrin Jalani. Whatever game plan they had in place here is working well to this point. Headed back to Akawa. Good ball over the top, looking to try and connect with Kamata. They get it back to Taniguchi. Flicked over, and they just aren't clicking in the defensive work so far from Tanjong Pagar United has been very impressive. So very shortly we'll be having the hydration break, I fancy. Next time the ball goes out of play, Fashar. Well, how many seconds he's allowed there, but he certainly used every single one of them. As that goes a mile in the air and comes down for a free header won by Albirex. Tomoyuki Doi declined to chase that, and Fashar as well will take his time here. And you can see Tanjong Pagar United, this is the deliberate tactic from Fashar. They need to start closing him down and hurrying him up because he's taking an age to release this. Referee, I think, might think about getting a card out soon if this time-wasting tactic goes on. But so far, so good for the Jaguars of Tanjong Pagar United. They're goalless here against Albirex Niigata. Remember, the two teams met in March and it finished 2 apiece. Around the grounds we go then. Only goals of the night so far have come at Hougang. Hougang 1, Balestier Khalsa 1. Shuhei Yoshino, a former White Swan, of course, opening the scoring for Balestier Khalsa in the first 5 minutes. The goal equalised by Justin Chui of Hougang United. 1-1 there. Goalless between the Sailors and Tampines Rovers at Bishan. And the Young Lions in Geylang also goalless at Jurong West, which is about 5 miles from here. So as it stands, the league table, it is as you were. Just add a point onto every team's total. And at the moment, every single position will be in play as it was today, other than the fact that Tampines will wrap up the AFC Champions League place if they get at least a point at Bishan tonight. That's too much, overcooked. They're just not firing here. I wonder if it's a continuation from the shell-shocked reaction to what happened here on Sunday against Tampines. They're winning plenty of headers uncontested though. Albirex Niigata, they were happy with that. No nonsense clearance from Julian Tan. And a good header back by Takeda Kawa. He won't be taking very long to get them moving and try and get the ball up the end to score. As you can see in that top right hand corner of your screen momentarily, the pocket of Albirex Niigata fans that are observing from outside the stadium. Nagasawa in business again down the left. Nagasawa cuts inside. Can he find a man in space? Well, not necessarily in space, but Faris Hassan is there and he finds a man in space and they surely will finish now! I've got a feeling the flag was up for offside. In any event, it wouldn't have counted, but at the time Taniguchi wasn't to know that, and it was an opportunity, I suppose. The flag being up meant it was all for naught, but Faris Hassan did really well. He played in Hashioka over on that far side, and I just wonder if he'd have left that, whether Tomoyuki Doi would have been offside. So for Sharp, he's probably touched the ball as much as anyone on the pitch, but mostly for goal kicks and free kicks so far in this first half. Certainly not been able to pull off many of the top class saves that I'm sure he's capable of. Prakash, Surya Prakash. Through the middle, Julian Tan. No free kick, they wanted one, they don't get one. And can Albirex Niigata in a semi-counter attack finally catch Tanjong Pagar out here? Through the middle it goes with the man that just skewed wide, Taniguchi. Takeda. Just going to keep this in. It was hard work and that was a very committed sliding challenge. That had to be absolutely spot on. There was no margin for error with that tackle. Takeda. Tanjong Pagar working so hard to close down here. You have to think it might take its toll in the second half. Takeda squares it, but backwards. And that's what they're being reduced to at the moment. Having said that, it wasn't a million miles away from Firos Hassan, but it's not something you usually see Albirex Niigata resorting to, is efforts from 30 yards out. But it's, again, kudos to the defensive discipline of Tanjong Pagar. That's what they are being reduced to. And once again, it'll be Fashar Iskander. Throw-in taken by Kamata. Sakuma. See that 6 shots to 2 are stats provided by Genius, but none of them have really been knee tremblers. Tomoyuki Doi into the side netting is about the closest we've come to a goal. Both efforts that came from Tanjong Pagar United were relatively tame. Here's Kamata. It was a good lead from Iman Hakim. Good cross. And a good defensive header as well under the circumstances, because they were under a bit of pressure there. Sakuma. Switches play, looking for Nagasawa. That's been their favoured tactic down the left. Kamata. Back to Nagasawa. What can Nagasawa do here? Turn of pace, Nagasawa to the pylon. Squares it back, and an important header behind by Shabal Hisham. But it will be another corner for Albirex Niigata. They've not done anything with the previous 3. What can they do with this one? Good one. And the way it curved in there, thought for a minute that Fashar might be caught out. Pussyfooting around a little bit around the edge of their area, but they get the decision with the throw. And they've only got 12 minutes left to break down the Jaguars in the first half, the White Swans. Headed back towards the Tanjong Pagar goal by Kamata. Kurashima. Kamata. Iman Hakim waits in the middle, twisting and turning. And they get it to the right-hand side. Another cross comes in. And that will be a Albirex Niigata ball, or Tanjong Pagar will be Albirex. Nagasawa continues to work hard. They're going to try and take this short again to catch Tanjong Pagar out. I think the opportunity may have come and gone. Another poor corner, and ironically that was probably the one that developed to be the most dangerous because of the misclearance. It's come back out to Kamata. That's an intelligent ball over the top, but it nearly found its target. But it'll be behind for a goal kick. We have to say, they're not peppering Fashar Iskander's goal here. They're on top, they're enjoying by far the lion's share of the possession, but what many people expected to be a rout is not developing to this point. And the real winners on the night to this point would be, no question, Tampines Rovers. Remember, there's only one equation that could decide the title tonight. That's Tampines winning at Bishan and Albirex losing here. Now, we've not seen enough evidence that they're capable of losing here, but they've still got to break Tanjong Pagar down. And if they're only to pick up a point, the gap would be 3 points, and they would be relying, Albirex, on beating Hougang at the weekend and Geylang beating Tampines at OTH, which possible, but those two scenarios are a bit of a stretch. They simply have to pick up maximum points here. Kamata, Sakuma. And it's another example of some of the mistakes that crept in the second half against Tampines on Sunday. Far from fluent. Another throw in to Tanjong Pagar, and they're happy just every time they get a throw in or a goal kick, and they're not breaking the rules. They're, I think, winding the clock down in a professional manager. That'll be another free kick as well. The frustration just starting to creep into Albirex Niigata's game. Foul pinged on Kenta Kurashima. And it's far from a goal fest in the AIA Singapore Premier League tonight. 3 games goalless with just less than 10 minutes to go to half-time, and 1 game tied at 1 each between Hougang and Balestier. Well, I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of that was. It was just an aimless punt upfield by Kenta Kurashima. Fashar has kept it in play again because he wants to wind seconds down. He's making Albirex work hard to come to him to pick it up. This time Tomoyuki Doi has to probe forward. And you can hear, I don't know if you can pick that up, the Albirex Niigata bench are counting out loud how many seconds he's got the ball there, trying to get the message to Zulfikar. I think he's just about bordering on okay, but it's certainly pushing it a little bit. There's work to do for Prakesh here. Runs it out well with the pressure of Nagasawa behind him. Headed back in by Kamata. And no nonsense from Shabil Hisham. Back to Akawa, and they'll have to start from scratch once more. The stats will tell you it's been a dominant Albirex Niigata performance, but my biggest takeaway from this is that they're just struggling to break down a very rugged, organised, and let's not forget, very under strength Tanjong Pagar United team. And if the tactic is to soak up this pressure and then introduce Lewis Jr. for a burst in the second half, so far it's working, and now they've got some space to operate for an attack themselves as Rubianda gets it to the left-hand side. Another player, just hit the back. Otherwise they might have been away. Nagasawa. Tanaguchi. Squares it to Kurashima. Good ball over the top, but it finds the very impressive figure of Rahan Rahman. Can they keep up this work rate for a 90-minute spell, though? That's the question. They've done it to 40 minutes, and they've reduced Albirex to no more than a couple of half chances. And they're playing so deep that it's been very difficult for Albirex to get in behind them. Kurishima. Kamata. And again, the cross comes in, but there's no one attacking it. Has that experience in the second half against Tampines Rovers scarred Albirex Niigata. You can see the Jaguar Force boys over on that far side. The die-hard fans of Tanjong Pagar United. Great to see them here observing the game and observing social distancing from outside the stadium, which is lovely to see. And back it goes from Rahan Rahman again. Kurishima. Kamata. Kamata again. Needs runners. He's looking for runners ahead of him, and they're playing so deep, and there's so little movement coming up front. They just can't find any pace and space to penetrate. Nagasawa. Back to Kamata. That's a miscued clearance. That's actually going to gift Albirex Niigata a corner, and after all the hard work, wouldn't it be ironic if a rather innocuous clearance that's miscued out for a corner finally gave Albirex the breakthrough. We've only got 3 minutes and change to take us through the half-time. Kenta Kurishima shots over for yet another Albirex corner, and there have been more than a few of those. It's the half dozen up now. None of the previous 5 have really threatened. Can he get his delivery spot on with this one? Fasha punches well, and that will trot out for a throw. Well, it may yet change, but as it stands, there's been no drama anywhere really tonight. Just those 2 early goals at Hougang. Hougang 1, Balestier Council 1. Tampines Rovers are just under 50 minutes of football away from guaranteeing their place in next season's AFC Champions League. Through the middle. And a no-nonsense clearance once more from Shabil Hisham. Takeda. Well, some of the short-range triangle passes have looked pretty enough, and they've carried out many of them uncontested, but in the danger area, the radar's not been there. Could change now. Tomoyuki Doi comes to the edge of the area, and what great work that was from Hari Putradia. Sakuma. Well, it's been the very definition of a well-organised team performance this for Tanjong Pagar to this point, though it was a very similar story when Hougang failed to be broken down by Albirex in the first half here. When they played them at the start of November on match day 7, but Hougang capitulated in the second half, and I wonder whether they can keep up this work rate. 2 minutes of additional time to be played. That's gone behind for another corner. Kurishima takes it quickly to Hashioka. Delivered in, heads up! Off the post, a combination of post and goalkeeping from Fasha. And it's taken them 44.5 minutes to even look like penetrating the Tanjong Pagar United goal. Let's have a look at this. Who was up for this? It was a good delivery. It was Tomoyuki Doi. And was it post or goalkeeper? I think maybe just post. And no one pressuring the follow-up, really. The Lion City Sailors take the lead against Tampines Rovers right on half-time. Title race very much back on. Sailors 1, Tampines 0 at Bishan. So the Stags are going to need another second half display similar to the one they put in here at the weekend. Here's Firoz Hassan getting it down to the left-hand side. Kamata. Nice turn. Into the area it goes. Pull back, surely now! Over the bar! How have they not finished that off? I think Adi Putradia had a lot to do with it, with the pressure he was putting them under. And it was the skipper, Kozuki Hashioka, who couldn't turn that one into what was practically an empty goal. It was a wonderful run from Taniguchi. Turned Prakash inside out. It was a miscued shot come cross, I think, from Kamata. And Hashioka, being hassled and harried by Hati Putradia, couldn't put it away. So we're now in to time added on. And we know that Fashar likes to take his own sweet time with goal kicks. Met by Sakuma. They've dominated possession. They've come close to scoring in the last 5 minutes. Can they take the lead just before half-time here? Another cross about to be pinged in, you fancy. Nagasawa. Instead of the cross, they play it back to Takeda. And that will do it. It's a goalless first half here at Jurong East. A masterclass of well-organised team defending by Tanjong Pagar United. They're congratulating themselves on the field. And well they might, but the bad news for them is they've got to do it for another 45 minutes. There are signs that Albirex Niigata might be scarred by what happened to them in the second half here against Tampines at the weekend. And so far so good for Tanjong Pagar United. Don't look like getting their first win of the season, but at the moment they're 45 minutes away from what would be their 6th draw of the campaign. All the scores from around the grounds, and we come back as well as the best of the action from a goalless first 45 here at the break. Albirex Niigata 0, Tanjong Pagar United 0. Welcome back live to Jurong East, where Albirex Niigata have huffed and they've puffed. not too spectacularly, it must be said, and they have not managed to break down Tanjong Pagar United, despite their place at the bottom of the table and their winless record, as they have done so many times this season, have been very tough to break down. That was a wonderful pass from Taniguchi over to that far side. A good cross. The right idea from Faris Hassan, but turned behind for what was one of 7 corners that Albirex enjoyed in that first half, and none of them really threatened. If they hadn't have got that touch, Tomoyuki Doi may well have finished that off. Here's Takeda on the probe. Down the left-hand side was where they enjoyed most of their success, what little there was of it. Kamata to Tomoyuki Doi. That one smashed into the side netting. It was a big arse from a narrow angle, but Tomoyuki Doi will be the one frustrated. He's not been able to make the breakthrough. Still 5 goals behind Stipe Plazimat at the top of the golden boot charts in the SPL. He's impressed me, Nagasawa, in this first 45. The square back ball, good thinking from Faris Hassan again. And over on that far side, it was missed by Taniguchi, but the offside flag was up. In any event, it would not have counted. And a combination of rugged defending and good clock management. It's a big ask to manage the clock for the whole 90 minutes. And that's what Tanjong Pagar United are doing, and I think it's a demonstration of how few gilt-edged opportunities they were, that's made the highlight reel. Blimey. This was the closest they came to capitalising on one of the over half a dozen corners. Playing it short, Tomoyuki Doi off the foot of the post, and Fashar tidying up the rebound. And there was one more golden opportunity right on half-time that went to Kazuki Hashioka, the centre-back running through. Look at that, lovely work again by Nagasawa. The skewed cross-come pass by Kamata and Hashioka. And Hadi Putradia has to get a lot of the credit for me for that. Keep an eye on the Tanjong Pagar United number 14. Really putting pressure on Hashioka, so he just couldn't get a clean connection. It went over the bar. So that's about it. No real dangerous and worrying moments for Tanjong Pagar United. Fashar's not really had a proper save to make. 10-2 on the shot count. Both those shots to Tanjong Pagar United came inside the first 10 minutes. 2 offsides and 7 corners. Well, before we go to our second half-time commercial break, I must say the people at Albirex Niigata do wonderful work in the community here in Singapore, and it's a testament to their chairman, Daisuke Koranaga. And one of the things they've been working on is a partnership with an orphanage in Myanmar, the Albirex Myanmar Partnership. It's a children's house named Dream Train, and all these children are orphans, and of course everyone's struggling in these COVID-19 times. And I'll talk along and tell you what I know about this great initiative while you look at the subtitles on this video being played inside the stadium. And of course COVID-19 affecting everyone in Myanmar. Everyone has limitations to what they can do, and it's much worse, as I'm sure you can imagine, than Singapore. So the Dream Train children are obviously being neglected to a certain extent, and what wonderful work by Albirex Niigata Singapore to make sure these children over there in Myanmar are getting their football coaching and getting something to do to keep them occupied during these tough COVID times. We are showing this video on behalf of Albirex Niigata Singapore to show our appreciation to the children, to demonstrate how they are being brought together by love and football. And once again, Singapore Premier League, the AIA Singapore Premier League, and the clubs sometimes get criticism for their work in the community, but that's not a criticism that can be levelled at Albirex Niigata. The wonderful cheer squads they have here on normal match days in a non-COVID-19 state, and also the wonderful work they're doing there in Myanmar, and sending our love, everyone here in Singapore, to those children at the Dream Train home. That's a partnership between Albirex and Myanmar, and I think we'll leave them there with the Myanmar children adding their very personal touch to the cheer squad that, of course, is a hallmark of Albirex Niigata in Singapore. So all the best to everyone in Myanmar, and do stay with us live on Singtel Starhub, the AIA Singapore Premier League Facebook page, and One Play Sports. We'll be back with the second half here. Goals at the break. Albirex 0, Tanjong Pagar United 0. Well, welcome back to the final 135 minutes, the beginning of the final 135 minutes of the AIA Singapore Premier League season here at Jurong East. Albirex and Tanjong Pagar goalless at the break. The other games, and we didn't get a chance before we went to commercial to give you those scorelines, and there's a couple of really interesting ones. The battle for the AFC Cup, well, all four teams, or three teams I should say, involved in that are currently tied. The big scoreline comes from the Lion City Sailors and Tampines at Pishan. Sharadishak right on half-time gives the Sailors the lead. If that score stays like that, the Lion City Sailors move to within a point of Tampines, and assuming the scoreline stays as it is here, there'll be a tie at the top. Well, there'll be a tie at the top of the table between Tampines and Albirex. They'll be both on 27 points. But if Albirex can go on and win this game in the second half, they'll go back to the top of the table. Remember, Tampines going into tonight just needing a point to guarantee Champions League football next season. The only game that's had more than one goal is the match at Hougang Stadium. One each. Shuhei Hoshino after 5 minutes for Balestier. Justin Hui after 10 for Hougang United. And the other game is goalless. Young Lions and Galing International gaining, of course, themselves with an eye on AFC football next season in the AFC Cup. Right, substitutions. I did warn you they always come at half-time for Albirex, and they tend to involve the departure of a Singaporean who, by the rules, they have to start with a couple. And it's Fairuz Hussain who's made way for Mitsuzuka. So Mitsuzuka is on for Fairuz. I'll just make a note of that myself, I fancy. Mitsuzuka. And the other change is departing Iman Hakim, who I'm reliably informed might be playing his football for a different club in Singapore next season. He's replaced by the 5-goal scorer Ryo Nishiguchi. No sign of the change to introduce Lewis Jr. from Tanjong Pagar at half-time. So then, Albirex Niigata need to win here. They'll be kicking themselves if they don't, because if it was to stay a 0-0 draw here, or even a 1-1-2-2 draw, who knows? Tampines and Albirex will be level at the top tonight if it stays Lion City Sailors 1, Tampines 0, and the Stags would only be a point clear of the Lion City Sailors. So many permutations. You have to say at this point it's looking incredibly likely that every big decision, the title, the Champions League, the AFC Cup and the Wooden Spoon are going to go to the final day, but a lot could change in the course of the next 45 minutes. It's Albirex in the orange, playing from left to right. Tanjong Pagar United in the black and gold, playing from right to left. Snapshot early on is not close from Taniguchi. No, a strange atmosphere here. There's no question they may well go on to win this game, but Albirex do look like they're still suffering the hangover from that disappointment they endured here when they... Oh my word, the keeper's come out there, Fashar, and he's going to give the penalty. Fashar says no, referee Zulfikar says yes. The replay is going to be interesting. Fashar's in the book, and this is the breakthrough that Albirex, Niigata needed. They haven't looked like scoring from open play. The replay I would like to see, because referee Zulfikar has been involved in a couple of controversial penalties this season, but I think he's got that one spot on. Tomoyuki Doi coming through. Did he get something to the ball for Shah? That's the question. Marginal. The penalty will stand. So, it took them 46.5 minutes to resort Tanjong Pagar United to panic stations. Noel Shah and Hazrin Jalani speaking to the fourth official. Of course, they'll be aware of the penalty controversies that referee Zulfikar was involved in earlier in the season, but with all that said, on first glimpse there, I think the referee's entitled to point to the spot. Game of opinions, everyone's got one. Now, Can Fashar make amends for conceding the penalty? Or Albirex are going to put themselves right back in the title mix and potentially top of the table tonight? Plenty of time to go, but this is a big, big penalty, as big a penalty as we've seen all season. And the Panenka's dispatched. Tomoyuki Doi wears number 10 on his shirt, and he's just got his 10th of the season. Fashar forward with the Panenka. And when you bear in mind the stakes involved with that spot kick, how cool can you get? Tomoyuki Doi with the breakthrough. 48 minutes in, Albirex 1, Tanjong Pagar United 0. It takes some nerve to convert a penalty like that. And Tomoyuki Doi is now just 4 behind Stipe Plasivat, and there's plenty of time left in this one. And of course, Tanjong Pagar United's game plan now has to alter. Are they going to do to Tanjong Pagar United what they did here to Hougang at the start of November when they scored 4 second-half goals to none? Or can Tanjong Pagar United take inspiration from the way that Tampines stuck 4 past the White Swans in the second half? Well, they have to say in that case, Albirex conceded their goal around about the same time that they've scored their one tonight, with Torfik off the bench. Cross comes in. Long range effort, never really looked like staying down. Never connected on that as he wished. No good, Fashar. Stalling for time now. I mean, they've just got to try and be a tad more adventurous, which is easier said than done. Should be noted that if they don't get anything here, they will have to beat the Young Lions. That's the only scenario where they could not finish bottom at the weekend, by beating the Young Lions. And there is an element with the team selection today. You maybe think, with Lewis Jr. on the bench and Shoda Nishikawa rested, they've had their team selection today with Saturday's game in mind. Oh, this could be dangerous as it comes to Mitsuzuka. Oh, this is it now. Hashioka, they're streaming forward, an important clearance by Yamota. Hashioka gets it back. Mitsuzuka, and out for a throw. Well, and some discomfort there is Suhairi holding his right shoulder. They've already lost Delwinder Singh for the remainder of the season. Nashrul, of course, is on the bench, but he's had his problems. And Ignatius Ang also out for the season. Seems to be okay to continue, Suhairi. And that clearance belted off of Mitsuzuka. And out for a throw. Building from the back with Takeda. Well, as things stand, Albirex Niigata will win the league title if they win at the Hougang Stadium on Saturday. Tampines need to find a second half performance over there at Bishan like they did here at the weekend. Good cross, brought down brilliantly, Tomoyuki Doi! Fashar with a great point back save. Look for all the world that Tomoyuki Doi was going to make it 2. It's a good cross, probing cross from Kurashima. And Tomoyuki Doi brought it down brilliantly. He got the better of Zulkifli Hassim. And now Fashar is down. Don't think there's any suggestion of any skullduggery. have a look at what happened here. Oh, I think he just had his little toe trod on there. It was Julian Tan, I think his own player, who did it under maybe a bit of pressure with Mitsuzuka backing in. Good delivery, another good save, Fasha, when they belt it clear. Well, they're piling it on now, and this looks like a game that's going to rapidly turn into damage limitation for Tanjong Pagar United. Of course, if Geylang were to get a goal in the second half and to beat Young Lions, well, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because they're playing each other. There's no scenario here where goal difference really comes into play in terms of avoiding the wooden spoon for Tanjong Pagar United, as they very nearly, Tomoyuki Doi could have had a hat-trick inside the first 8 minutes of the second half. Got on the end of that one well, got goal side and just blasted over. And you can see that pocket of White Swans fans outside the stadium are really getting behind their team now. Another good cross from Kamata. Tomoyuki Doi did well to get there in front of Rahan Rahman. That was a save from the corner from Fasha. Well, Geylang International have also made an early breakthrough in the second half. They lead at Jurong West by a goal to nil. Young Lions nil, Geylang International 1. And why that is significant is because if it stays 1-1 between Hougang and Balestier, Geylang International will go back in to 4th spot, which is the slot reserved as things stand with the league table made up as it is. The slot that will give the second AFC Cup slot. Set piece doesn't really create too many problems, but taking no chances is Mitsuzuka. It's well worked. And now Albirex Niigata on a real storming counter-attack. Mitsuzuka. Tomoyuki Doi, not in the area, but there are other players that are, including Ryo Nishiguchi. Nishiguchi going to try and fashion a cross here and end up winning a corner. So we've still got, what, 36 odd minutes to go. This is going to be corner number 9 for Albirex Niigata. They take it short again. Delivery, and Fashar can watch that one drift out of play. So finally, we can start working out the league table. For a long while this evening, it looked like it was going to be everything as you are. But now, as things stand, Albirex will be top with 1 game to go, having played 13 points, 29. Albirex will be played 13 points, 27. And the Lion City Sailors all of a sudden, well, still needing a miracle from Hougang at the weekend, but with their goal difference currently being 8 better than Albirex, they'll move up to 3rd spot, played 13 points, 26. So they need Albirex and Tampines to falter at the weekend, and then they'd need to be beating Balestier Cows, who themselves, of course, are chasing AFC Cup football. Going to go to the wire, I fancy. Here's Sakuma. Hashioka. Sakuma again. My word, they've been camped out in Jaguar territory for nearly 53 odd of the 56 minutes that's been played. That cross though, Fashar doesn't fancy claiming it, punches it out to the edge of the area, where Albirex can pick it up with Hashioka. Plays a good ball down the line to Mitsuzuka. Mitsuzuka twisting and turning, trying to get the better of Zulkifli. Hashioka again, that'll be a free kick. We'll look at that 3-on-1 against Kazuki Hashioka, the skipper. And eventually bundling him over was Zulkifli. So this is a corner in all but name from where this free kick's going to be taken. What can they conjure up here? They need another goal just to put the game to bed, I fancy. Played near post. And behind. Or to the side for a throw, is it? I think it's to the side for a throw. Ashioka. Oh, Mitsuzuma did well there to keep that in. Headed back in. Mitsuzuma, not the tallest player on the pitch by any stretch, can't win it in the air. And can Tanjong Pagar United catch him out on the counter? Trying to hold the ball up was Hadi Putradia, but they've given it away. They've coughed it up, and that could be a free kick. It will be. Not for the first time. Suhari involved in some midfield combatants. They tried to take it quickly with Taniguchi finding Tomoyuki Doi with a run forward, but I think just as well from their point of view, they'll have to take it back and have another stab at it. Two sliding challenges went in there. The one from Hadi Putradia wasn't pinged, the one from Suhari was. Now, what can Kurashima do here? Surely too far out for a poker goal. They've committed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 orange shirts into the penalty area. At 1-0 and with Lewis Jr. lurking on the bench, Tanjong Pagar United remain a threat. Even if it's just one breakaway chance, it's all they might need to get a point. 2-0 though, you can't see him coming back for. Headed across, and Fashar gathers it at the second attempt. So we've already played a quarter of this second half. Crucially, Albirex Niigata making the breakthrough after Fashar was penalised and the penalty converted through the Panaka of Tomoyuki Doi. Nagasawa to the left-hand side they go. You do fancy him to score more goals than this now. They've got that goal and the monkey off their back, trying to bury the ghost of the performance against Tampines in the second half 4 days ago. Scores from around the grounds. Hougang 1, Balestier Khalsa 1. Both the goals in that game coming inside the first 10 minutes. Lion City Sailors 1, Tampines Rovers 0. Shawadishak just before half-time, as Jan Motta has to turn that behind. Furious with his teammates there is Rahan Rahman. Young Lions 0, Gailing International 1 is the other latest score. Just update you on the goal scorer in that one as soon as I get it confirmed. So, Tanjong Pagar United, I'm told, are going to be making a triple substitution shortly. That will involve Luis Jr. So stand by for the Brazilian's arrival. But will he be coming on with his team 1 down or 2 down? Yet another corner for Albirex. Another corner wasted. Surya Prakash, though, heading a bit behind to give them another one. Yeah, the corner count here is becoming extraordinary. We found double digits already. None to Tanjong Pagar United. And now referee seeing a push in the box. Free kick to Tanjong Pagar United. So let's go through this laundry list of changes. Hadi Putradia makes way for Takahiro Tanaka. So Tanaka is going to get a 30-minute run here. Ribianda replaced by Lewis Jr., who of course had that terrible injury here back in March in what was their designated home game against Albirex, so it'll be a bit cathartic for him to come on. And also Faritz, one of the most experienced members of the squad, replaces the youngster Julian Tan, whose full debut has lasted just over an hour. So Faritz, Lewis Jr. and Tanaka on. That is a very experienced trio. Can they potentially get something out of this game for Tanjong Pagar United? Fresh legs against the Albirex Niigata squad that is not really heavily rotated. And they look tired in the last half hour against Tampines at the weekend. They need a second goal to kill it off. I have to say, mentioned it in the first half, but people will call me names and say it's a ridiculous thing to say because they've not won a game this season. They're bottom of the league. But with the limited resources and the squad at their disposal, I think Hazrin Jelani and Noel, I'm sure, have actually done a decent job. You know, it was a short preparation time when the season first started. They got a couple of good results straight out the gates as well, with that 2-2 draw against Albirex most notably. And interesting to note that no team has drawn as many games as they have. Heartbreak for them, because you thought with Hougang losing Charlie Mako and Zach Anderson, it would be their opportunity to win their first game of the season last time out on Saturday, but they went down to a heartbreaking late goal from Hougang, having led early in that game as well. Faritz, his first touch is to belt it forward, looking for Tanaka. Lewis Jr. holds the ball up well. He's certainly a player they'll be worried about. See Hari's cross nearly found its target of Surya Prakash. "17 shots to 2, and remember, both those shots from Tanjong Pagar came in the first couple of minutes, and neither of them particularly threatening. 17-2 though, only converting a penalty from those shots. Not a good return. Tomoyuki Doi hungry for more. He's on the ball now. He reached double digits for the season tonight, but still 4 behind Stipe Plazibat, and I'm sure he wants to get another one, at least another one in this game. But they have to be a bit more respectful of Tanjong Pagar, because Lewis Jr.'s on the pitch. Well, I thought for a minute he was going to get to that. KR Kawa was quick off his line. And you do just wonder, when a player's coming back from that terrible injury that he endured, whether he does think twice when he's motoring through to challenge for those. Prakash. Prakash down the left, needs it out here. And that's intelligent football from Surya Prakash. He's won Tanjong Pagar United their first corner of the game. And believe me when I tell you, they can be a threat from set pieces. Both Jan Motta and Lewis Jr. can do the business from here. And they've got their first choice corner taker on the pitch now as well, in Takahiro Tanaka. So Albirex Niigata better be careful. They've got themselves back to the top of the table as things stand, but could it all be for naught if they end up conceding from here? Tanaka's delivery. He's only been on the pitch a couple of minutes. Can he deliver an A1 cross? He can. Headed back by a Tanjong Pagar player and lifted back in by Shabalisham. And again, Faritz is there. They're a different proposition with that triple substitution. They were asking momentarily for handball there as well, not getting it. Well, you could make a case, and this is not disrespecting the players already on the pitch. Obviously, Jan Motta's there, but you could make a case for saying that they've brought on certainly three of their 5 best players in that triple change. So if the game plan was to keep the game tight and then give the 3-star names a run out, okay, they're losing 1-0, but they're still in this. Believe me, they're still in it. Zuhairi sprays it wide, looking for Surya Prakash, who might get there now. Just belted away from him by Kamata. Shabel Hisham. Jan Motta. Headed on by Surya Prakash to chase from Faritz, but can't get there. But they've enjoyed more forays into Albirex territory in the last 3 minutes than they have in the first 63 minutes of this game. Albirex haven't put this to bed just yet. They need a second goal to do so. Elsewhere, Hougang 1, Balestier 1. Both those goals coming in the first 10 minutes. Tampines Rovers have equalised against the Lion City Sailors. That is a huge score. A huge score at Bishan. Because as things stand, Tampines Rovers will qualify for next season's AFC Champions League. Remember, Albirex not eligible for that slot. And what's more, It will eliminate the Lion City Sailors from the title race. It will mean that we'll go to the final day as it stands, with Albirex top of the table, played 13 points 29, and Tampines played 13 points 28, which would of course mean that Tampines would potentially have to better Albirex Niigata's result. If Albirex Niigata were to lose against Hougang and Tampines would draw, it could potentially go down to goal difference, which is more of a reason why you think Albirex might want to get another couple here. Might get a chance now. Going down is Mitsuzuka, and the referee eventually blows for the free kick. So a huge 22 minutes here in the context of the season. Tampines have come from behind to level it up against the Sailors. That could eliminate the Sailors from both the title race and the AFC Champions League race if it stays like that. But Albirex are still, despite the unconvincing nature of this performance at times, particularly in the final third, are still destined to go into the final day top of the table, unless Tampines can now go on and get a winner at Bishan against the Lion City Sailors. So you can't take your eyes off this action for a minute. So Tomoyuki Doi, if he's over this, I fancy he's having a strike at goal. You'd have to find some angle here with his left foot. But it would make sense if he's over this that the intention would be to try and get the better of Fashar. Tomoyuki Doi, 6 orange shirts to aim at, including up from the back, the imposing figure of Ryo Sakuma. Well, he tried to get it close to the keeper, but Fashar, to his credit, has been very good in those situations so far. He's not good with that clearance, though. He's handed it straight back to Kamata for the run. Oh, what about that for a tackle? Supreme work. Exquisite stuff to win the ball back. Really impressive from Amaral, that. Yamota. Don't they look a different proposition now, Tanjong Pagar United. And these are fresh legs of Luis Jr. for Reitz. And Tanaka, remember. Shabel Hisham. Going long over the top. This will come to Luis Jr. He's a goal threat from anywhere in the final third. We've seen him hit some absolute screamers. Most recently against Tampines Rovers when he got a brace, and they're through on goal here. Look at Tanaka, going to get the shot away, Tanaka. Well held up by Ryo Sakuma. But my oh my, this game's got a different complexion now. But as Tanjong Pagar push forward, will Albirex be able to enjoy more freedom when they launch attacks of their own in the final third? Tomoyuki Doi slowing things right down, which surprises me. Since the introduction of Nishiguchi, Tomoyuki Doi playing a bit wider. Amaral, time and space to get this away. No one wants to go near him. Pass is not good though, bearing in mind the time and space he was afforded. That went out of play. That looked to go out of play, and it did. So now, well, time's gone so quickly. We're past 70 minutes into the 72nd minute, and it's time for the hydration break, with this game still poised. We've already seen more from Tanjong Pagar offensively in the 10 minutes since we saw the triple substitution to bring on Luis Jr. for Reitz and Tanaka than we did in the whole previous hour. Great camera work there, just illustrating that that ball had gone out of play from Hashioka. So around the grounds here, Albirex 1, Tanjong Pagar United 0, a Tomoyuki Doi penalty. A couple of minutes after half time. Hougang 1, Balestier 1. Hougang taking an early lead inside the first 5 minutes through Shuhei Hoshino. Justin equalising for Hougang just 5 minutes later. Young Lions 0, Gailing International 1. That game was goalless at half time, but the Eagles made a breakthrough 7 minutes after the break. But I can tell you, Gailing are now playing with 10 men. They've had a man sent off in that one, so in control but playing with 10. And we're still awaiting confirmation of the Tampines Rovers goal scorer, which, if that game stays at 1-1, we'll see the Lion City Sailors eliminated from the title race. There are clouds over the moon high in the skies here on the west coast of Singapore, and there is still a cloud over the identity of this season's AIA Singapore Premier League champions. Fasha getting a bit more urgent with his goal kicks now. His team are a goal behind, can't blame him for that. Headed forward by Faritz, who's taken over the captain's armband from Rahan Rahman. That's going to roll out for a goal kick as Rahan Rahman chases it back. He only needs half a sniff, Lewis Jr., if they can just get the ball to his feet in and around the edge of the area. Arguably, from that kind of range, you've obviously got Kiki Krajcek, who's lethal from that range for Balestier. From that range, there's probably no more strikers. I mean, Kiki Krajcek's a midfield player. Wouldn't have many strikers more impressive from in and around the outside of the area than Lewis Jr. He has got a wicked shot on him. And if you think it's nervous today, don't forget it's going to be nervous on Saturday. Quadruple header for you as the season curtain comes down. We'll crown our champions. By then we might have already crowned our AFC Champions League places as a card comes in for Mitsuzuka, the substitute. And that's just the second yellow card of the game after Fashar was yellow carded for conceding the penalty. Remember, in that game, Delwinder Singh in March, when they met here in what was Tanjong Pagar United's home match, had a first half red card in that one for a nasty incident on the near touchline. They know what it's like to hang tough against Albirex and get a result this season, albeit a long time ago now, best part of 8 months. Jan Motta. Surya Prakash is looking for it on this near side. Can't get it to him just yet, and he's very nervy, this Albirex Niigata. They've tried to get that second goal immediately after scoring the penalty and not managed it. Until they get the second goal, the nerves will continue to jangle. Zulkifli, his throw finds Hashioka, who's been so busy covering so much ground. Hashioka. To the left it goes from Kurishima. Here's Kamata. Still enjoying the majority of possession, and certainly well in front on the corner count as well. 11-1, thanks to Genius for our stats. Here's Taniguchi over the top. Pulled back by Tomoyuki Doi! And Mitsuzuka unable to finish what was a glorious opportunity to put this game to bed. Well, they just don't look electric in front of goal tonight. Tomoyuki Doi with a lovely layoff, and it was Mitsuzuka who skewed it wide. Well, it's been a short, sharp season, not a long, hard season, but these games coming 2 a week has taken its toll on many of the squads in the AIA Singapore Premier League. On the nature of their performances over the last couple of days, you'd have said it was affecting Albirex Niigata Singapore as well, which is strange because we traditionally associate them with being the fittest team in the league, but they've got the ability to rotate, but they do have a set 11 players that they like to stick with. And maybe those 11 players are starting to tire as Surya Prakash also looks like he's getting a bit leg weary as he wins a free kick, and another chance for a set-piece raid to be launched by Tanjong Pagar United. Lewis Jr. will be up for it. Jan Motta will be up for it. And in Takahiro Tanaka, they got someone that can Play the good long ball. He's played this short to Surya Prakesh. Surya Prakesh looking for the cross flick. Tonga, they get ahead on it. Yes, they can. That's gone over the line, surely. I think the ball crossed the line, had it not, no. Well, offside is the call. I initially thought the ball had crossed the line after it hit the bar for Faritz. So many things to take a look at there. The flag's up for offside as well. As Balestier Kels to take the lead at Hougang. I want to look at that again. I think the flag may have been up for offside. Or, well, let's see. Surya Prakesh with a glorious cross. He got the flick on. It didn't look offside to me. 30 didn't cross the line either. I'm assuming the offside is when it comes back from off the crossbar. Either way, the most important thing from that passage of play, take away the offside issue, is the ball didn't cross the line. I thought for a minute it had crossed the line off the crossbar. Now, is that going to wake Albirex up or spur Tanjong Pagar on? This game is very much not over. Along the line, looking for Hashioka, who is everywhere in this second half, the skipper. Hashioka gets it back. Brilliant 1-2. That was lovely work. Teaming up with Taniguchi. And Tanjong Pagar snuff it out. So with just over 10 minutes to go in tonight's games ahead of Saturday's final matches, Balestier Khalsa take back control of fourth spot on a potential AFC Cup berth. They've retaken the lead against Hougang. Geylang at the moment will stay level on points to them as well, but with an inferior goal difference. They could do with a couple more goals against the Young Lions, but they're down to 10 men. Lions City Centres and Tampines 1-1. Is this the moment they go 2-0 up here? No. Important header from Yamota. So as things stand, title race goes to the final day, and it'll be Albirex that lead the table by just a point from Tampines. The Sailors are eliminated if it stays as it is at Bishan from both the title race and the AFC Champions League. And despite the unconvincing nature of their performances in the last 4 days, Albirex Niigata, bizarrely, will become title favourites. What a season it's been. And for Tanjong Pagar United, of course, unless they can score 2 goals in the final 10 minutes here, they'll have one last shot when they play here against the Young Lions on Saturday to avoid being the only team in the 25 years of professional football in Singapore not to win a game all season. Tomoyuki Doi, oh, that's a delightful ball, but Nishiguchi couldn't take it in his stride. They come down the left. Runners are plenty in the middle, including Nagasawa. Comes out to Tomoyuki Doi. He's another player that can hit them from range. Does Hashioka fancy putting the trigger? No. Tanaka. Down the left. Cross along the deck, and it's going to be corner number 12, I fancy. Faritz couldn't prevent the corner. So, is that Tomoyuki Doi overtaking the corner? I think it is. No, yes, it is Tomoyuki Doi taking that corner. That's a bit of a shock. Plenty of people in there hustling for it, including Nishiguchi. But Tanaka for Tanjong Pagar met that comfortably and belts it away. And Lewis Jr., if he could have won that, he'd have had a good matchup with Kirishima. Nothing doing. Kirishima down the line, they're going to get another free kick here. And just like that, we're rapidly coming to the business end of this match, and they still Albirex lead by that solitary goal to nil, scored by Tomoyuki Doi, his 10th of the season for the penalty spot, just a couple of minutes in to the second half after Fashar committed a foul. I have to say, I think referee Zulfagar got that decision right. Even if there was a bit of the ball, there was plenty of the man as well to clear him out. And this is a threatening area as well. Look at Ryo Sakuma on the right of your shot. They're wearing number 4 in the orange shirt. He has got the potential to run in very late here. And Yamamoto will have to keep an eye on him. And it comes, twisting and turning, and they get the shot away. Very close to having an open goal to aim at, with Fashar committing himself forward. You almost have to entice Albirex to come forward, though, to get some space of their own to exploit up the other end. That's cleared by Amaral. And it finds Tanaka. Faritz looking for Lewis Jr. now. Haven't seen much of the Brazilian yet. He needs to be a bit closer to goal to be a threat, and I think he tried to pass that to the referee. Picked up by Mitsuzaka. Yamamoto. Tanaka's going to get to this, he does. Oh, but just too close to Kurashima. And here come Albirex again. 4 against 4. Faritz is tracking back to put the odds more in Tanjong Pagar United's favour. It will come to Amaral. They had that 2-minute spell, didn't they? Shortly after the introduction of the 3 changes of Luis Jr., Tanaka and Faritz, where they look threatening. Since then, Albirex have got a monopoly on possession again to a certain extent. Of course, as things stand, if Albirex were to lose to Hougang and Tampines were to get a point tonight and a point against Geylang on Saturday, then the title will go down to goal difference. The permutations are changing all the time. It's so difficult to keep up with them all, but we're, by my calculations, just 5 minutes away as we have another look at that penalty decision. Tomoyuki Doi brought down by Fashar. And the Paneka, what a way, such an important penalty to score for Paneka. Takes a whole lot of nerve. This corner's delivered. Fashar with a punch. And he's now gone down injured. So is he going to give the free kick here? Don't think they're going to give the free kick, because that's why the complaints are coming in from Rohan Rahman. Was there anyone impeding him in an orange shirt? The referee spot on. It was his own man. They can't give a free kick for that. Does look to be in some discomfort, and of course there's nothing in it for him now to be winding the clock down. And this will require, I think this is the first physio visit to the pitch we've had all night. And is it just me, or is post-COVID-19 football meaning physio visits have become more infrequent? If it is, it's certainly a good thing. So, five minutes to go, plus probably be 3 or 4 minutes of stoppage time here. Same time left in the other games. There's no other goals to tell you about. Hougang 1, Balestier Khalsa 2. Balestier taking the lead late in the second half in that one, and Tampines through Zairudin Mehmedovic levelling it up after Sharadishik had given the Lion City Sailors the lead in the dying embers of the first half. And the significance of that score means the Lion City Sailors will be eliminated from title contention and AFC Champions League contention as things stand. To the surprise of no one, Fashar's going to be okay, as coming on is Farin Farkan for Surya Prakash. So Farahin is on. Boy, oh boy, tired legs out there now. Can they raise themselves, Tanjong Pagar, for one last visit to the business end and get an improbable draw here? Headed up by Amaral. Tanaka trying to put some pressure on Taniguchi. Heavy touch from Mitsuzaka. He's got to be careful, remember, he's on a yellow card. Throw from Hashioka. Chance for Mitsuzaka to put a cross in here, and they get ahead to it, but it's over the bar from Ryo Nishiguchi, who's not really managed to have much of an effect on this game since his introduction. Farshar with the goal kick. Fritz is up for it, but doesn't win the header. And there's some space to exploit for Nishiguchi now. He's kept it in, Nishiguchi. Tomoyuki Doi waiting in the middle. More support arriving. Tried to find Tomoyuki Doi, and it's deflected behind Fede, and another corner. And I don't think they'll never have as many corners again as they've had today. Just haven't managed to take advantage of them. Referee wants another chat with the ongoing shenanigans in the 6-yard box, which have been a reoccurring theme throughout the game, and bearing in mind how many corners we've had in this one, that's a lot of aggravation. 4 minutes time to be added on, I can tell you, and that's the killer goal. They finally net from a corner, and it is Kotaro Takeda who secured the 3 points for Albirex. It wasn't pretty, it was scrappy, but after a dozen or more corners, they finally make a set piece count. And Takeda rose highest and rose best for his first goal of the season. Well, this has not been vintage Albirex Niigata, but they're going to get the 3 points. They'll nervously await news of the full-time whistle at Bishan, where if Tampines can get a late winner, they will still go into the final day top. But as things stand, it's going to be the Japanese looking for a 4th title in 5 years, reclaiming top spot in the AIA Singapore Premier League with just 1 game left to go, and that means a win at Hougang on Saturday, and they will be champions unless Tampines can find a late winner from somewhere. Nishiguchi. Well, there's been a flurry of goals late in that game at Jurong West as well. Having seen Karo Nizam sent off, Geylang then conceded an equaliser, only to go back in front playing with 10 men. Young Lions 1, getting International 1. So as things stand there, the other development on the night, which I'll update you in just as soon as we get this attack out the way. Can Albirex had a third right on full time? They look like they're hungry for it. Fashar manages to save it going out for a corner. Yes, just making sure I got my mathematics right to who's been eliminated from what if the scorelines stay as they are. I can tell you, with Geylang beating the Young Lions at the moment, that of course will mean the wooden spoon will go to the last day of the season, as that shot from Tomoyuki Doi is deflected behind for another corner. So as things stand, Hougang would be out of AFC Cup contention. It would go down to the final day with Balestier and Geylang both on 19 points chasing that 4th spot. The Sailors, well, they're already guaranteed AFC Cup football, but they'll be eliminated from the Champions League should they not get a late winner at Bishan against Tampines Rovers, who, having led tonight, Tampines Rovers in the league table, that is, as we get some final substitutions and a run out for Yasuhiro Hanada. And also an introduction for young Indira Iskander, with my hero Takahashi also in the fray, with only 90 seconds or so to play. Oh, they score from the second straight corner. Well, my oh my, it's like London buses. You wait from a goal from Albirex Niigata corner all night long. After a dozen corners, they couldn't make them count, and now they've got 2 goals from 2 consecutive corners, and Tomoyuki Doi, with his second of the game, takes him to 11th of the season. He's now just 3 behind Stipe Plazibat. And that was a beautiful near post header. He got the better of Faritz, and Fashar had no chance. Beaten on the post, Kifli. And Albirex Niigata are finally putting the kind of complexion on the scoreline that their possession dominance really warranted in the first half. Ironically, Tanjong Pagar United had their best spell of the game just before Albirex Niigata really made their, what you have to say at this point, has to be superior fitness tell. That was handball. So a brace for Tomoyuki Doi. Is he still in Golden Boot contention? Will Stipe Plazibat appear for the Lions City Sailors in the final day? Can he get a hat-trick against Hougang? So many stories and prizes to be awarded on Saturday in the most exciting final day in the 25 years of the AIA Singapore Premier League. Of course, officially the 25th year of professional football in Singapore, where the S-League is now known as the AIA Singapore Premier League, and it's going down to an exciting final day. But you're watching here, folks, the team that will start the final day as favourites to take the title, unless Tampines can get an injury time goal here. The final whistle hasn't gone there yet. It's gone here. Our referee Zulfago, who I think had a decent game, blows for full time. Albirex have won by 3-0, but the game was only decided deep into stoppage time. It was a goalless first half, and then Fashar bringing down Tomoyuki Doi just 2 minutes into the second standard. Their leading goal scorer stepping up and converting with the cheeky Pinaka. And then the final 2 goals of the game, both coming from corners, of which Albirex have plenty tonight. The first turned in for his first of the season by Kutaro Takeda, and then with one of the final kicks of the game, Tomoyuki Doi with a beautiful near post header, getting the better of Zulkifli and Faritz in the process to get his second of the night to take him up to 11 for the season. Albirex Niigata, who await the final whistle at Bishan, are currently top of the AIA Singapore Premier League, and the equation for them is now simple. If Tampines can't get a late winner tonight at Bishan, a win at Hougang for Albirex on Saturday will see them crowned champions. It's finished here. Albirex Niigata 3, Tanjong Pagar United 0. Well, this was the moment in the first couple of minutes of the second half which really finally turned the tide in Albarex's favour. Fashar protested his innocence. I think he got a little bit of the ball, but he certainly got a lot of the man. Tomoyuki Doi getting marks for artistic merit when he went down on the dive. Look at that for a Pinaka under extreme pressure. How important could that penalty have ended up being? And he went for the Pinaka, sent Fashar diving to his left and converted it expertly. So that was 1-0. And it stayed 1-0 for a long time. They introduced it, Tanjong Pagar United, Luis Jr., Tanaka and Faritz. They had their chances themselves, but the one half chance they did get crashed off the crossbar with the linesman's flag over on that far side up for offside. Even if they had turned the rebound in, it probably wouldn't have counted. There was another effort from Tomoyuki Doi, and another day may well have had a hat-trick. He had a couple of chances in the first half as well. I can tell you all the other games currently still in progress. No other final whistles have gone just yet, as that header from Takeda didn't get the right connection. He would go on to finally make his breakthrough as full-time approached. That was a good ball over the top. Tomoyuki Doi with a lay-back, and it was the substitute Mitsuzaka who fluffed his lines on that occasion. And this was the chance that fell to Tanjong Pagar. Takahiro Tanaka played it short. Prakesh got the flick on from Zulkifli. Faritz's header into the crossbar. They didn't turn it in anyway, but it wouldn't have counted in any event. And it fell to Luis Jr. of all people, who then copped a foot on his head from Takeda for good measure. He was offside if he hadn't it, but it might have been a penalty. And then right at the death, Takeda finally gets the goal that he couldn't convert 20 minutes ago. Takeda given far too much space as he seemed to lose the attentions of Farahin. And then with the final kick of the game practically, or the final head of the game, Tomoyuki Doi with his second of the night. And having looked so ineffective from corners for 90 minutes, they score from 2 consecutive corners inside a couple of minutes right at the end of the game. They bow to the officials and staff who are here. I'm sure they might even recognise the Albirex fans over on that far side who are here in an unofficial capacity, officially watching from outside the stadium. And they'll go now for their match debrief and warm down. Final whistle's yet to go anywhere else, by the way, so we're still in a bit of suspense here. It looks like Balestier are going to close out a 2-1 win at Hougang, and Gerding are going to close out a win playing with 10 men they are against the 11 men of Young Lions by 2-1 as Keiji Shigetomi gives his post-match debrief. So we're still awaiting final whistles to go. I can tell you the final whistle has gone at Hougang as we look at the scene with the Tanjong Pagar United players who'll go into the final day of the season knowing they can still avoid finishing bottom if they beat the Young Lions. So final whistle's gone at Hougang. Hougang 1, Balestier 2. Balestier back in control of the AFC Cup place. Although they have got a tricky game on the final day, of course, at their home ground of Bishan against the Lion City Sailors. There's the 10 of the tape. 15 corners. They scored with the 14th and 15th of those 15 corners. 22 shots and only 1 goal up until injury times. An incredible return. Just 1 yellow card apiece. Fashar for conceding the penalty. And Mitsuzaka picking up the yellow for Albirex Niigata. So I'm waiting to see if we've got an updated league table. Of course, we're waiting for the final whistles to go. So we don't want to take any chances. I can tell you the only thing we do know, with some of those games not completed yet, so we wait the final whistles at Bishan and also a final whistle at Jurong West, where there was a red card, so there'll be some time added on there. But as it stands, if Tampines cannot get that late winner, Albirex will be 1 point in front going into the final day. And that, of course, makes the goal difference very significant, because the goal difference going into today was in Tampines' favour. Now it's in Albirex Niigata's favour. I'm told the final whistle has gone at Bishan. Many thanks to my producer Lim Yi for telling me that. So that is confirmed. The top 3 places, and what this means is Tampines are guaranteed AFC Champions League football. The Lion City Sailors eliminated from both the Champions League contention and the title race. The title race goes to the final day, and the 2 late goals and 3 in total here from Albirex does make a difference, because they can now afford to lose their last game of the season. Tampines only pick up a point, and then they will still potentially go through with the title on goal difference. All in all, I can give you as many permutations as you like. It makes for a must-watch Saturday of AIA Singapore Premier League football. Hougang and the would-be champions Albirex, if they win that game, that's from Hougang, 5:30 Singapore time. Remember, a win for Albirex and they'll be champions. Tanjong Pagar United against the Young Lions. Well, that's a battle at the other end of the table. Can Tanjong Pagar United avoid becoming the first team in 25 years not to win a game all season? The Sailors now, with not much to play for, entertain Balestier Cows, who very much have things to play for, bearing in mind they're in possession of that precious second AFC Cup slot. The first one already wrapped up by the Lion City Sailors. And Tampines Rovers, who up to tonight had it all in their own hands, now have to play catch-up once again, and they rounded off with an East Coast derby against Geylang. So don't, whatever you do, miss Saturday night AIA Singapore Premier League action. It'll be coming to you all 4 games live across Singtel, StarHub, the AIA Singapore Premier League social media channels, and One Play Sports as well. So that's it from the team here at Jurong East, where Albirex have beaten Tanjong Pagar United by 3-0 to once again take control of their title destiny as they go for 4 Singapore Premier League titles in 5 years. Whatever you do, don't miss Saturday's grand finale. It's a 14-game AIA Singapore Premier League season like no other, and it's going to get the finale it deserves. There's so much still to be decided. We'll find out what happens on Saturday night. Stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you Saturday.